I wonder how we continue to think about these convening spaces as important for us to like in as morale boosters, and like I do think the social aspect of those things are very important. I think I've talked about this a lot, like being able to be in places where we're reminded like, oh, I'm not just alone, like wherever I am, like there are other folks who care about this shit, who are doing this shit. But then also like the actual work of agenda setting is important. And I don't know that we should always shirk that for the sake of moving on time. Right. And I know how people feel about time, but that's what the purpose of those 2 or 3 days that we get together are. And so like I wonder how we can do better about like having like things planned out so that it feels like things can keep going, but also making room for those conversations to really take shape organically.
Right.
Well, she wants time, so
I can say Black can probably speak to this too in terms of the planning, because this was a consideration. The first conference was more plenary heavy, so more time for conversation than it was workshops. And the criticism that came from people who attended was less talking, more workshops. So even in trying to honor that, and then even to the point of the workshops, there are times in the workshop where these kind of questions do come up again, or there's moments where we can expound. So even for the times that I was able to speak to people, because I thought it was interesting, because the response to Ashanti in the plenary, people were clapping and things like that, but then leaving the plenary, people walking up and saying, I really appreciated what you had to offer, so much so that I had to watch it back, because I wasn't really, there was a lot happening that weekend anyway, so I wasn't really sure what I wasn't saying. But yeah, so I do think, even for what I did offer, there were people receptive, and it did give an opportunity to kind of maybe speak to it a bit more in a way that I maybe have confined myself, given that I wasn't the only person on that stage, and there was more that people had to offer as well.